Being gone for a week makes me forget what buttons to push. Coming to you live from our top secret broadcasting bunker here at Area 52, just outside of the perimeter of Area 51, in a place where we won't get caught. This is Pastor Mike, and I'm online, and I am live, and it's Monday, and you're going, what in the world is Hogman doing today on Monday? And it threw some people off, and I tweeted this. Let me just kind of tell you how I do things. If I'm not going to have a PMO, I'm going to tweet it. If I am going to have a PMO, I'm going to tweet it in advance. And we used to, with the old Watchman Video website. We used to have like Jazz set it up, some kind of thing where you got email alerts when something happened. And then our website got hacked by people, somebody from Saudi Arabia or something like that hacked our website, and that kind of did away with that. And the best way to keep in touch with what we're doing here, Pastor Mike Online or Watchman Broadcast or Bethel Church or whatever, is subscribe to our Twitter feed or just go to the website, because our Twitter feeds show up on the visitbethelchurch.com website, and you can pretty much know what's going on. All last week I posted the camp videos. If you have not seen those, I encourage you, because when I go to camp, I have fun. I have a lot of fun when I go to camp, and we had just a lot of interesting things going on, and I added a little humor here and there, blew up some kids and things like that. No big deal. All done with special effects, of course. And but anyway, every time I would blog that, the blog would be picked up by the sermon audio feed, which would send a tweet out saying there's a new blog post. And so it just lets everybody know there's something new on the blog. Also, when I tweet something or something is tweeted by some automatic things we have going on, it automatically gets posted to my Facebook wall. I'm writing on the wall. And so it's just a way that we keep everybody informed of what's going on. And I tweeted last night, I just kind of thought about it, and I thought, the next 2 weeks are going to kind of be messed up a little bit. And I've been gone all week last week. No Pastor Mike Online, no Watchman Broadcast or anything like that. And so I decided to throw in a Pastor Mike Online early in the week. And then I will be on again tomorrow, 1 to 2:30 in the afternoon Central Time. And then Thursday is Independence Day, July 4th. And I will be hip deep in grilled meats. And so I won't be here Thursday. And then the following week, my sweetie pie and I, next week, July 10th, we'll be celebrating 26 years of wedded bliss. And the older I get, and the longer that Lisa and I spend together, I am not kidding you. I absolutely I just keep falling in love with my wife all over again. She is an outstanding woman. She is she literally is, as God designed, she is my help. And she is meat for my needs, and that's King James terms, if you don't know what that means. I didn't mean like M-E-A-T, like I bit her arm off and I'm walking around with a ham bone or something like that. But she is sufficient. She supplies for me things to help me think about, rules of the house and so on. I would be a pig slob if it wasn't for my wife. And so, and I don't mind talking about this. Last week, she didn't get to go to camp with me, although she went the year before, because Courtney had a baby. And she knew that she wasn't going to go anyway, so she opted out. And I missed her. I missed her. But Thursday night, I'm going, oh, my wife. I want to see my wife. And then Friday, I'm going, oh, I'm going to go home and see my wife. And so anyway, we are thinking about, we're not decided yet, we're thinking about taking a little trip sometime next week. Just her and I, just get alone, get away, look at things we've never looked at before, and so on. And so we haven't made any final plans yet. But so I'm just kind of thinking ahead here that Thursday, July 11th, I probably will not be doing a Pastor Mike Online. So what I plan on doing this week and next week, doing a Pastor Mike Online today, doing one tomorrow, doing a Pastor Mike Online next Monday, and then Tuesday, the day after that, just to try to get into a week. And that helps me because I always get this backlog of information I don't know what to do with. I missed doing the program last week. Dave Bradley, who went to camp with us, was trying to prod me and provoke me. Hey, you're going to do a Pastor Mike Online from camp? And to be honest with you, I honestly thought about it, but there's no internet. I mean, we're literally on top of a mountain in the Ozark Hills of northwest Arkansas. And there's no internet out there, so it just would have been nearly impossible to do that. So anyway, I missed it. I think you guys missed it as well, and here I am today. And really, what provoked this was something that I was able to look at a little bit of news last week. I upgraded my iPad so they could have a data account. And I was just kind of keeping track of some news, and there was something that came across the local CBS affiliate news app, KMOV, here in St. Louis, and it got my attention immediately. And I think I was sitting next to Dave Bradley, and I said, I know what this is, and I think I'm going to talk about it. So I compiled some information, and I tweeted last night that I'm going to explain a connection, and this is a real, tangible connection between Freemasonry and the Sodomite Pride movement, the rainbow. I hinted a little bit about that in the last two Prism videos, and I'm going to kind of go back over some of that information again today, but I'm going to show you some things. This happened in St. Louis. And there are some elements of St. Louis that I am uniquely aware of, being sort of a long-time inhabitor of the St. Louis area. And so I'll be sharing that with you today, and I'll be looking forward to any comments or any questions or any boo-hoos or I hate you, Mike, you're an idiot, or whatever. I'm looking forward to that today, and so on. But I've got some pieces of paper here, and I'm going to just kind of go, and a lot of them have to do with the gay marriage thing is the top of the news right now. And if you caught the sermon that I preached yesterday, I am feverishly worked up over this issue because, guys, if you believe the Bible and you know what the Scripture says, you know what's coming. You know what it is, a sure word of prophecy. And what God did in the old days, He's going to do in the new days. Where is Sodom right now? Does anybody live in Sodom? Nah, can't live there. If you believe Ron Wyatt and his little journey in the southwest area of the Dead Sea and his claim to find Sodom and Gomorrah, and his information was pretty interesting. He found little sulfur balls laying all over the place there, and it's literally is a place where they don't get any rain. There's just no rainfall to speak of. Maybe once, and who knows how often they get it, but they just don't get any rainfall. And if you go back in the book of Genesis chapter 13, you'll see that when Lot chose Sodom, Lot didn't choose Sodom because, oh man, I love deserts. I just love deserts. Deserts are so cool. He chose it because it was the well-watered plains of Sodom. And he had all this cattle, and he thought, well, there's the markets there, and I'll make money, and all this, And it doesn't exist anymore. God did it, and He did it for a reason. He destroyed that area, and He made it exactly what He said, completely uninhabitable. Now, I'm going to pull some scripture up here. I've got scripture floating around in my head here, and I'm going to have some help looking it up. So bear with me as I launch my King James Pure Bible Search software. If you don't have that, download it for free or call us or write us and we'll send you a disc, which basically all I did was download it for free and put it on a disc. You can do that, can't you? It's a free download for, so far we have Windows, Linux, Mac, I believe, and she is feverishly working on the Android version of it. And let's see here. Let me find the verse I'm looking for here, because God specifically talked about Sodom here. Well, let me just kind of go through the scriptures. And all I did is in the software, I just typed in the word Sodom, and then I put an asterisk after it. That's going to look for every word that has S-O-D-O-M and then anything after it. Like Sodom or Sodomites or Sodoma. You'll find that in the scriptures. Isaiah 3:9, the show of their countenance doth witness against them. They declare their sin as Sodom, they hide it not. Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. And if you think that God is not going to honor his word in what he said, and I'm not saying this just because I think America is some big special thing, but I would say that any nation, any group of people, I would say any church or denomination that espouses sodomy, like Rick Warren has done, and Rob Bell, and Brian McLaren, and multitudes of these other ministers, they've embraced sodomy, and God says, woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. This is the phrase, this is what I had in my mind. Isaiah chapter 13, verse 19. You might want to turn there, write this note down or whatever. Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as. That word as, if you're looking for, I would say the word as, A-S, is one of the most significant words in the Bible when it comes to understanding the symbolism of the Bible. As it was in the days of Noah, as Jonas was in the whale's belly 3 days and 3 nights, so shall the Son of Man be in the heart of the earth. And the word as, God always uses that word to show you, if you see this, then this is as that. Okay? So he said that Babylon, the glory of the kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. He used Sodom and Gomorrah as examples of what's coming. And that's what Paul was getting at. He said those things are written aforetime, are written for our learning and our admonition. So we can go, you know what? That's what happened to Sodom. God's going to do it again. God would have to apologize to Sodom if he didn't judge the rest of the world because of that same thing. And then he said in verse 20, Isaiah 13:20, it shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation, neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. And that verse, if you go to that area that they suggest is the area of Sodom and Gomorrah, what you will find is a place, there are no cattle there, there are no sheep there, there's no Arabians pitching their tent there, there's no rain, there's nothing. But there are wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and this is, I mean, think about what Sodom used to be. It used to be a well-watered plain. Now it's a desert. And God said it's never going to be inhabited again. And I'm thinking about my homeland, my country. And if the mercy and the grace of Almighty God does not kick in and stop this thing, we're going to lose everything we have in this country. It's gone. It's gone. Now there's another verse in Isaiah 13 that links some things together, and I'm gonna read that to you in verse. Let's start at verse 6, Isaiah 13:6. Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. Think about what Jesus said in the Olivet Discourse when he was preaching about his coming. He said, "Men's hearts shall fail them for fear." They're gonna see the things that are going on, and they're just literally going to faint and fall away because of the fear of what's coming. And they shall be afraid, verse 8, pangs and sorrow shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. Now think about that. Think about, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as a woman travailing with child, and they shall not escape. When you see the word destruction, think of a spirit called the destroyer. Think of, actually personalize or personify the word destruction. And we can do this by way of Revelation chapter 9, verse 11. The king of the bottomless pit is named Apollyon and Abaddon. Both of them means the destroyer. And just study the word destroy or destroyed or destroyer or destruction in the King James Bible. You'll start seeing things. So here we have God destroying Babylon just like he did with Sodom and Gomorrah because of sodomy, because of that sin. And he said in that day, men's hearts are going to fail them. They're going to have pangs and sorrows as a woman that is in travail. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. Think about the divine spark. All of that fits in there. And then think about what, the sudden destruction cometh upon them. The beast literally just coming on them instantly, coming upon them as a woman travailing in birth. So all of these things are tied together, not just things that we can see out here, but things in the Scripture. They're all tied together. And this is kind of the approach that we're going to take today. Let me read a couple of pieces of paper for you. And there was one interesting thing that came by, the Daily Smart Pill. This is from the dailymail.co.uk. The Daily Smart Pill that can remember all your passwords. Tablets can transmit personal details to devices as they pass through the body. Ugh. Ugh. I got to take my glasses off for this one here. And my eyes are still adjusting. Now I can actually start to see better with my glasses on. So anyway, and I'm going to brag a little bit. And I appreciate it. I think it's a combination of everybody's prayers, the Lord just helping me and so on. But I have maintained a low blood sugar or normal blood sugar levels now for over 2 weeks, all without medication. I've not had any diabetes medication now for about 2.5 weeks, something like that. And it's just been simply diet. I know what to avoid. I know what I can't have. We had some visitors in from Indiana. Their daughter actually went to camp with us and took them to Emo's Pizza. And if you ever come to this area, you got to go eat Emo's. I'm telling you, it's good. And I love Emo's Pizza. So we all went, and I ate a big, huge salad, and I loved it. And I ate one little teeny piece of pizza. Anyway, for forgetful types, it promises to be a new wonder pill, but far from boosting the memory, the tiny swallowable capsules contain a minute chip that transmits an individual's personal details. Does anybody smell a singularity here? I smell it, and if you don't know what that is, Ray Kurzweil talks, and I didn't know this, he works for Google now. Ray Kurzweil talks about the singularity, the point at which computers and humans are going to go like that. And I've been talking about this in the foreseeable future. We have the Google Glass. You're going to wear the internet on your head and have access to everything with your all-seeing eye. Do you understand that? And we're there at some point. They're going to fuse the technology in with the human being to make him a god. That's what the singularity is all about. The biblical name for that, I believe, would be the mark of the beast. I think this has everything to do with it. So you're going to swallow a computer, and it's got a radio transmitter in it, and electronic devices will be able to read the unique signal, ending the need for passwords and paper forms of IDs such as passports, and freeing users from, see the word freedom here? It's going to make us free, isn't it? Freeing users from such mundane tasks as recalling countless codes and security answers. Now, I want you to think about how ridiculous we've gotten in our society. It used to be that mundane tasks that had to be performed every day were things like plowing fields, cutting down timber to build your house and to heat your house with, and feeding farm animals and scraping to survive. Those mundane tasks. That's what used to be mundane tasks. Now we have the inconvenience of having to remember passwords. Well, now we're going to be freed from all of that. The wonder of technology is going to make us better. It's going to make us like gods. That's what it's going to do. Already approved by both the U.S. Food and Drug Administration and European regulators, the ingestible sensor is powered by a battery using the acid in the wearer's stomach. Each pill is designed to move through the body at the normal process of digestion, and according to engineers working on the device, it can be taken every day for up to a month, based on technology developed by California-based. Here it is. Ready? Proteus Digital Health. Proteus. Let me look that up. I'm going to double check on this, and I forgot to do this before the broadcast here. But if I remember right, what somebody told me was that Proteus is here it is. In Greek mythology, Proteus is a sea god, a god that rises up out of the sea. Let me see if I can capture your attention just for a minute here. And there's a picture that I'm gonna see if I can get it up on the screen for you. It's gonna take me a few clicks on a mouse. Let me do this. Save as picture. Proteus. There it's saved. Now let me do Wirecast and import it. I mean, it's such a mundane task to show you a picture. Ugh. Maybe one of these days I can just think it, and the picture would be up on the screen. Yeah, that's what we want. Yeah, that's the ticket. Here we go. Here's Proteus right here. Here we go. Right. Here's Proteus. That's who he is. Oh, look, he looks like a serpent. And he's got a trident, which is a symbol for the triple helix, actually, is what it is. That's trident. That's, back in 1 Samuel, he was called Dagon, half human, half fish. And so here we have, literally, a company named after the beast that rises up out of the sea, Proteus. And they've designed a chip for you that integrates electronics and everything. And it's just getting everybody used to becoming part of the electronically circuited world that we're headed to. And I believe somehow, some way, it is absolutely linked in with the mark of the beast, so that no man might buy or sell save he had the mark. I mean, buying and selling and commerce is part of this. This is all merchandise or mercantile related. The merchants of Babylon comes to mind here. And it's just getting everybody used to that. That is a great article, and I think a couple people sent it to me, and I really, really appreciate it. Here's something that Stupid Joe said. Stupid Joe Biden. president in charge of Vice, Joe Biden, applauded the Supreme Court's rulings earlier this week overturning the Defense of Marriage Act and California's Prop 8, saying that we're on the verge of seeing America move even further on same-sex marriages. That's not news. That's what we know. We know that according to scriptures. We know that according to logic and common sense. And I keep repeating myself on this thing, but I'm telling you, the Sodomites are not going to stop until we are in ashes in this land. And there are other nations more progressive right now than America, like Holland, Great Britain, places like that. They're way ahead of us, and we're just trying to catch up with them. Australia, Canada, you name it. I mean, we're just trying to catch up with all of our buddies so we can all burn. But this is where we're going in this country. Biden says, I think we'll see the day when it is no longer a debate about whether or not same-sex couples can be married and whether or not they deserve every single civil right every other married couple deserves, Biden says in the latest Being Biden episode, a periodic series posted to the White House website. Biden heralded the Supreme Court's ruling as a great day for every gay and lesbian couple, and it should be a great day for every straight couple in America. Why? Why, Joe? Why would that be? Why should I be impressed that we are now gone to such moral depravity in this country that the government is actually sanctioning, and then, are you ready? Because the government is going to, at some point, enforce or force gay marriage on ministers. Oh, no, we wouldn't do that. The government wouldn't do that, would it? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is the day when Mike Hoggard goes to prison or something like that. I'm not doing it. I mean, I told the church yesterday, not doing it. And they all said, yeah, Pastor Mike, we support you. Well, then you come bring me some cakes and stuff like that while I'm in jail. If you're going to stand behind me now, you got to take care of me. Stupid Joe goes on to say, now we can look each other in the eye and say, we're on the road to absolute fairness and equity. I want you to remember that he said that. Equity. I'm going to deal with that. He also said that the decision would have a profound impact on every gay and lesbian couple in America. The point here is Americans are way ahead of their political leadership, Biden said. They have been. I think they crossed this Rubicon about fairness for same-sex couples a long time ago. Biden made waves last year when he announced last May that he was completely comfortable with gay marriage, a statement he made despite President Obama remaining at the time in favor of only civil unions. And might I say that Barack Hussein, probably one of the biggest liars ever walked into the White House, even probably greater than Bill Clinton, gets in front of Rick Warren's church, which he should have never been there to begin with. If Barack Obama actually came to my church, I absolutely would not put that man up on the stage, and I would preach to him like I would preach to anybody else. In fact, I may just get meaner about it. But anyway, he goes to Rick Warren's church. Warren asks him about this issue of gay marriage. Well, that's actually above my pay grade. I don't think I'm qualified to answer that question. He was dodging the issue, what he was. He had it in his mind all along but he knew he couldn't get elected if he comes out in 2008 and says, I think all the gays ought to get married. I'm for it. I'm going to ram it down your throat. He can't get elected that way. Or maybe he could. I don't know. But to say that he just recently changed his mind on this issue is ludicrous. He's had this for a long time. Now, I have not talked about this because it's not proven. It's not, as far as what I'm looking for, it's not fact. There's rumors and innuendos and blogs and YouTube videos and such and such and such and such. And insiders. I always want to caution you, if something comes across your screen that says secret insider information, I just don't jump and do belly flops for stuff like that. I mean, I really don't. How do I know? who this is. I think there was who was a guy, Lindsey Williams or something like that. He started making prophecy videos after I left him, and my nose itches today. And he was talking about how he had inside information from the Illuminati itself. He knew a guy that was inside giving him information, and he made all these statements about stuff that was going to happen, and it never happened. Hasn't happened. So I just don't jump all over this stuff. But there is a rumor that says Barack Hussein actually is a closeted sodomite, that the church he went to in Chicago was sort of like had a secret underground of sodomites in it, and Barack Hussein was one of them. I don't know that that's true. It's not verified. There's no fact. Nobody has Barack Hussein's DNA on their shirt like Monica Lewinsky had. Nothing like that. But we do have this. How literally can you take it? Maybe it's a foreshadowing. Maybe it's just setting everybody up to get ready for this, that we do actually have a sodomite in the White House. I don't know. But it's very compelling and it's very interesting. Now, I've said this before, I am like the world's lousiest predictor. I'd make a lousy weatherman. But I thought this several years ago. When I was a little boy, I used to love, "Hey Bert, you want to watch some television?"
Ernie, come on, Ernie, we have things to do.
I used to watch Sesame Street and Bert and Ernie. And when I was young, I never looked at Bert and Ernie, two guys sharing the same pad, the same flat, the same apartment. I never went, I wonder if they kiss each other on the mouth. I just wondered. As a child growing up, it just never dawned on me. I didn't think those dirty thoughts like that. I remember hearing one time on a sitcom, when I was a boy, I think it was Alice. And that was the first time I heard the word gay. A guy that Alice is dating says, "I'm gay." And I looked at my mom and I went, "What is gay?" And she said, "Well, I don't know. Maybe it just means he's happy." Yeah, that's it. She didn't want to tell me. She didn't want to ruin my childhood. But it seems like now they want to ruin everybody's childhood. So now, all of a sudden, and I saw this coming, Bert and Ernie come out in the New Yorker. Not even the Muppets are spared in our cultural war. Below is the cover of the new issue of the New Yorker magazine. "It's amazing to witness how attitudes on gay rights have evolved in my lifetime," said Jack Hunter, the artist behind the cover. "This is great for our kids, a moment we can all celebrate." And my mom didn't want to tell me what gay meant. She wanted to protect my childhood a little bit. Then again, in response to a 2011 online petition calling for Bert and Ernie to tie the knot, the Sesame Workshop's Facebook page offered this statement: "Bert and Ernie are best friends. They were created to teach preschoolers that people can be good friends with those who are very different from themselves. Even though they are identified as male characters and possess many human traits and characteristics, they remain puppets and do not have a sexual orientation." Well, yeah, they're guys. Bert and Ernie, they're guys. So here is the cover of the New Yorker magazine, and it's got Bert and Ernie in an embrace on the couch watching the telly. What's on? Oh, they're watching the Supreme Courts on the telly. And they're going to, I guarantee you, see, this was, and I can't say this for sure, but it looks to me like Children's Television Workshop, which produces Sesame Street. This This looks like something that they wanted to do, knew they probably couldn't get away with it, so it's kind of like the White House or some organization like that wants something out there without actually making a statement. They'll leak it to the press. Somebody will say, hey, John, why don't you call one of your contacts buddies and leak this story? That way we don't have to do it normal way. And it's really just implanting the idea. Now, Bert and Ernie are forever tainted. And the Children's Television Workshop, Sesame Street, doesn't have to take the rap for it. So from this point forward, till death do they part, in children's minds, because it's going to be talked about and it's just going to be there, Bert and Ernie are sodomites now. That's how it's going to be forever and ever. You watch for it. Here's another one. Colorado transgendered girl banned from bathroom wins case. Coy Mathis, a 6-year-old transgendered girl who was banned from her first grade bathroom, has won a statewide legal case in Colorado that might have far-reaching implications for the rest of the nation in protecting the rights of transgender children. Coy, born a triplet, had been homeschooled since last December when school officials told her parents that she could no longer use the female facilities and ordered her to use the boys' or nurses' bathroom. Her parents, Jeremy and Catherine, with the help of the Transgender Legal and Defense Education Fund. You know what that means? That means lots of rich millionaires who are sodomites or whatever are funding this stuff. They're behind it. They're hiring the hot rod, hot shot lawyers and will spare no expense to get their agenda pushed through. Anyway, they filed a complaint with the Colorado Civil Rights Division on behalf of Coy, alleging that the school has violated her rights. This is amazing because it's not just a win for Coy, but a win for every transgender child in the entire state, her mother Catherine said. It's amazing for all of them and their future. It lets them be who they are. They don't have to spend their childhood being discriminated against. According to the TLDEF, this is the most comprehensive ruling ever supporting the rights of transgender people to access bathrooms without harassment or discrimination. This is now, again, I've talked about this before, but I want you to understand where this is going. Now, I'm going to make a confession here. I'm going to actually confess something online, live, in front of everybody. They, several years ago, they built a brand new Walmart supercenter in Festus/Crystal City. It actually sits on the boundary between Festus and Crystal City. And depending on what checkout register you go to, there's a different tax rate. I mean, that's how it is. And, of course, these supercenters, they have 2 sets of bathrooms, one in the front, one in the back, and they're just right, in line with each other. If you go to the front bathrooms, the men's bathroom is on the right. The women's bathroom is on the left in the front bathrooms. Now, when you go to the back, they reversed it. The men's bathroom is on the left, the women's bathroom is on the right. I hadn't been in this store too many times, and I was in there, and I thought, man, I gotta go. So I ran to the back of the store. Yeah, I did. I went to the right. And I went in there and I said to myself, because I was in a hurry. I said to myself, some idiot designed this bathroom with no urinals. That's an idiot. So I went into a stall. And on my way out, I'm going, oh, this is the woman's bathroom. Ah! And I ran out of there. I got in my car and left. I don't know if there was anybody else in that bathroom. I was so embarrassed. Now that was an honest mistake that I made. And ladies, I want you to understand where we're going. That's no pun, by the way. I want you to understand where we're headed here. You're going to be sitting in a place that you think is safe. And some guy is going to come barging in, and there ain't a thing you can do about it. Your son or your daughter, let's say your daughter, is going to be in a bathroom at school. And there's a boy there who's got all the boy stuff, but he's been told by his whacked out parents that he's really a girl on the inside. So they're going to have the right to tell their gendered boy that he can go into the girl's bathroom at will, regardless of whether anybody else is in there or not. And nobody can stop him. Nobody, or her, him, no, because that's who he is. Nobody can stop him. Nobody can say, hey, you can't go in there. A child cannot complain because one of the counselors at school will say, well, you need to understand that he feels like he's a girl. Sodom. That's where we're headed, people. Get ready. You know what? Get ready to lose it all. Get ready for it. Do like Paul did. Just say, I counted all things but loss, because we're going to lose everything except our salvation in this country. It's coming. I'm not trying to... Maybe I am trying to scare everybody. I think what every now and then we ought to sober up and realize the world that we're living in. Now, was sitting next to Brother Charlie Jameson last week, and Charlie's a good guy. I love him to death. Good pastor friend of mine, and we try to feature his sermons every now and then on Bible Truth Radio. And is there something on my nose? Because, that just feels like something's on my nose. But anyway, Charlie made a statement that I think it made sense to me. You know, for years, Russia and China hated the United States of America, wanted to take it over. And you have to think about it. Look at the resources that this country has. We have oil, we have gas, we have coal, we have farmlands. We have everything. We have everything in this country. They knew that dropping nuclear bombs over America was probably the worst thing in the world to do, because although you may conquer the nation, you're not going to get anything out of it. So, the individual, and I think Khrushchev actually said something like this: we're not going to bomb America. We're going to let America bomb itself. And that's what they're doing. Now, this article just came in, and it comes from Alex Jones, and I don't trust Alex Jones. But anyway, let's maybe do a little research on it. And I'm just going to read this as a plausible scenario. FEMA signs deal with Russian Emergency Situations Ministry to exchange experts. As part of a deal signed last week in D.C. between the Russian Emergency Situations Ministry and FEMA, Russian officials will provide security at mass events in the United States, a scenario that won't sit well with Americans wary of foreign assets operating on U.S. soil. According to a press release by the Ministry of the Russian Federation for Civil Defense, U.S. and Russian officials met June 25th. Let's see. In addition to agreeing with FEMA to exchange experts during joint rescue operations and major disasters, the Russian Emergency Situations Ministry will also be providing security at mass events in the United States. This suggests that events designated as national special security events by the Department of Homeland Security, which include the Super Bowl, international summits such as the G8 and presidential inaugurations, will now rely partly on Russian authorities to provide security. And we were crazy back in the 90s when people were surmising that foreign troops in this country would be used to police this land. We were crazy. You wild-eyed conspiracy theorists. You're crazy. It's not going to happen. I think it is. I think it's going to happen. I think God, because of our sin, is going to destroy the American sovereignty over this land and give it to our enemies. That is exactly what I think is going to happen. According to the Word, O God, that's what I think is going to happen. And maybe we can, maybe some of our astute online viewers who are really good at investigating things can check into that to see just how true that story is. Again, I don't trust Alex Jones or anything that comes out of him. I just don't do it. Let's do a little rehashing here, shall we? Let's go back into the video, the Watchmen video broadcast we made the last couple weeks, dealing with the PRISM program. And one of the things that jumped out at me in looking at the logo for PRISM was this rainbow effect and the symbolism of it. Why did they choose this particular anagram? Why did they, why this logo and so on? And I feel like I did then, I still do feel like it was symbolic. It was significant. It was like setting something up. It's kind of like a company naming itself Proteus, and they're designing chips that are going to build godlike human beings. I think there's a connection there. So I was, looking at this idea of the connection between the rainbow. We know the rainbow, of course, is an image in the Bible of the Lord Jesus Christ and a token and a sign of his coming. And I want you to think in those terms. So when you see in the occult realm, secret societies et al., it wouldn't be a promise then of Christ, because they don't want him. It would be a promise of the coming or the birthing in the travailing days, the birthing of the Antichrist, the revelation. Paul talked about it, 2 Thessalonians. Right now, he's concealed. He's concealed. Jim Cedric asked me last night, he sent me a text late last night. He was reading Revelation 13 about the mark. And he said, "Hey, Augie, tell me who that is. Tell me what that mark is." And I said, "Jim, I've been studying that thing all my life, and I don't exactly quite know what it is or who that guy is. Not yet." And I believe 2 Thessalonians 2, I believe that he's not been revealed yet. I believe he's been concealed. And so anything that's concealed, there's always symbolism, there's always types, there's always logos and all of this stuff. And so you see, when you see this rainbow imagery, it is sort of a symbolic of the coming of the Antichrist. Let me give you an example. The Rainbow Girls of Freemasonry. If you look at the symbolism here, you have the colors of the rainbow, which would give you the idea that this is something that has to do with the advent of the beast, the Antichrist. The triangle, which is a representation of the triple helix. The two handshakes together. One is coming from the left, one is coming from the right. You can recognize it as a Masonic grip. And it basically spells out the union of two things joining together to create the rainbow. In other words, to bring forth the birth of the Antichrist. If you know anything about Freemasonry, back in the 1900s, early 1900s, they had a magazine called New Age. And it was a Freemasonry magazine. That's where the term New Age or New Age came from. And so here you have in the New Age movement, you have the idea of the rainbow. The rainbow represents the seventh heaven, or the serpent has climbed up all the way through the seven chakras of your body, and now you receive illumination, or the beast has been conceived and now born. Think of the language that James used. Lust, when it is conceived, bringeth forth sin. Sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. Bringeth forth. That is a birthing term. Literally giving birth to death, who I believe is like a picture of the Antichrist. And if you look in Masonic logos, you'll see coffins and skeletons and everything else in the world, dead things, and I think it's a picture of the Antichrist. But then here is what became very, very interesting, was that I had noted and knew that the Sodomites used a 6-colored rainbow in their logo. As I take a sip here, Alicia went and bought me, my mind just runs all over the place, these little things that you squirt in your water to make them taste good. And this one tastes like pineapple and coconut. I like it. So anyway, back to the Sodomites and the rainbow. And so I use this in the video to show you that there's a connection. I talked a little bit about it, and I'm going to kind of keep going with that. There was an article here. Let me get rid of this graphic here. The talk show Hell Hates. Rainbow flag raised at Syracuse City Hall to celebrate gay pride. So it is definitely, and these flags were flying all over the nation when the Supreme Court came out with that decision that they have overturned a bill in Congress that they deemed unconstitutional, that the Defense of Marriage Act disqualifies or takes away the rights of two men to kiss each other on the mouth after they put a ring on their finger. And by the way, this is, and I know there's the spiritual aspect of this, and we talk about this a lot, but there's another aspect of this that also rings true in the Scripture. The Bible says the love of money is what? The root of all evil. Do you know what this really is about? It's about money. It's not about letting Sodomites do what they want to do. They already do. Sodomites do whatever they want to do, whenever they want to do it, and wherever they want to do it. They don't need a law. They don't need a ring on their finger. They're doing it anyway. It's about money. It's about getting money. It's about this guy and this Sodomite, and he's pulling down $150,000 a year in a high-end job at some huge corporation, and he's working his way up the ladder, probably because he knows people. He's making a ton of money, and his bum partner lives with him and feeds off of him, and I want health insurance, and I want this, and I want his pension, and I want that. Basically, it's about money. Getting each other's money, and the government, and then they're going to get tax credits and tax breaks and all this stuff, and it's all about money, which is the root of all evil, or the love of money is the root of all evil. And the idea, let me get another picture here. I don't know if I incorporated this or not, and I have to find it. I sent this to myself. Where is it, Hogman? Here we go. Here's what got me going. I'm going to read an article that was at the, I think it was, KMOV's website. KMOV is the CBS station here in the St. Louis area. The article says, Buildings sport, gay pride colors in anticipation of Pride Fest in St. Louis. Now, the Sodomite Carnival was held this weekend in St. Louis. Good old St. Lou. And so, let me read the article. St. Louis is joining the ranks of other big cities to support the LGBT large bacon and tomato. That's what it would mean to me. An LGBT is a large bacon and tomato sandwich. Boy, I love that. The lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered, messed up in the head people, community with new light treatments that is costing one alderman several $1,000s. Now, I read this and I'm going, why isn't city alderman spending his own money on this? Well, he wasn't. He was spending my money on this. The St. Louis Civil Courts Building. Does that ring a bell with anybody? I'm going to show you what it is in a minute. The St. Louis Civil Courts Building is sporting gay pride colors for the first time in a move to show support for the gay community for the upcoming Pride Fest. And, just in mentioning the Pride Fest, I want you to think of a verse in the Bible that tells you what is the inevitable happening when pride shows up. Just pride goeth before destruction. Remember destruction. It's a person, the destroyer. Pride goeth before. I think I'm saying that. I better look it up. Pride goeth. It's pride. Pride goeth. People say pride goeth before a fall. And I don't think so. I think it's destruction. Pride goeth before. Where is it? Where are you? What is it, in Proverbs? Hang on here. Proverbs what? Destruction shall be the workers of iniquity. No, that's not it. Hell and destruction are before the Lord. No, that's not. Here we go. Proverbs 16:18. Pride goeth before destruction. Had it right. And a haughty spirit before a fall. What did Paul warn us about? A fall. These pride festivals are doing nothing but leading this country, the world, to falling before the Antichrist, just like the Babylonians did in the plain of Dura, when Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego said, "No, we're not bound to that. That's not our God." So the Pride Festival is leading to our destruction and the advent of the destroyer. The lights are visible. Here's what happened. The St. Louis Civil Courts Building is sporting gay pride colors for the first time in a move to show support for the gay community for the upcoming Pride Fest. The lights are visible from the river and out west, although some question how the building's light makeover was paid for. On Monday, a St. Louis-based company plugged in 60 LED light fixtures onto the Civil Courts Building, and it was all done courtesy of Dutchtown Alderman Shane Cohn. That's a Jewish name. He used $15,000 from a capital improvement fund that is given to him and other aldermen each year. So it wasn't his money. It was government money, a capital improvement fund. Have you driven through St. Louis? Do you know that it looks like Detroit in some places? Buildings falling down. I mean, ruin and decay everywhere. The alderman gets $15,000 in a capital improvement money to do something good with it, and he goes and blows it on rainbow lights on the St. Louis Civil Courts Building. The fund is made up of collected sales taxes. Individual aldermen decide on how they will spend their portion with approval from 2 city boards. Now, here's what got me. Here's what grabbed my attention on this thing. The St. Louis Civil Courts Building. Here's a photograph of it here. This is what they did. You can't really tell what the building is, although I've featured it in several Watchmen video broadcasts. Here is a better view of it. $15,000 in tax money, which means this is government paid for and supported. Here's another picture of it. All the colors of the pretty rainbow telling us that the Antichrist is coming soon. Now here's what got me on this. The St. Louis Civil Courts Building. Let me show you what it looks like here. This is a picture of it in daytime. It is a Greek temple. That's what's on the top of it. A Greek temple with a step pyramid on the top of it. Now, there are other examples, and I'm going to tell you what this means here in a little bit. Some of you may already know. But there are other examples of this in different places around the country. Here is the War Memorial Monument in Indianapolis, Indiana. And it has the same design, a Greek temple topped off with a step pyramid. Here is, and here we go right here. Here's the connection. Here is the Mother Lodge of Freemasonry in Washington, D.C., about 13 blocks straight north of the White House. Go figure. It is a Greek temple topped with a step pyramid. Now, on top of the St. Louis one, you can't really see it from this picture, but there is like a rectangular box on top of it and two sphinxes facing one east and one west. That would be opposites, in case you went to school in California and didn't know that. Facing in the opposite, so it's the fusion of the opposites. You kind of get that scenario. This is where all the uppity-ups Masons meet. And by the way, there are two, if you can see there are two sphinxes at the entryway to this thing. A sphinx is it's sort of like, let me see if I can find it here, sort of like this. It's a half-human, half-beast thingy. That's what a sphinx is. It's the melding of the two together. The original design comes from the mausoleum at Halicarnassus. And basically it was just a big giant grave, all right? Here is what, and I looked at this thing. I've been looking at this thing in St. Louis for years, and I'm going, what in the world is that? And I knew that there was something about it, and I couldn't quite put my finger on. Then I started reading several years ago, Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike, and that was when I was just starting to understand the whole secret of Freemasonry and exactly what it was. And here is how Albert Pike goes about describing the symbolism of this idea of a Greek temple, which is the square, and a step pyramid, which of course is like a triangle. Let me show you this. Most Masonic aprons, not all of them, most Masonic aprons have essentially the same thing. You have a square, and then you have a triangle mingled into it. I don't have this graphic. Have you ever seen the Gmail logo? Go look at it. Go look at the Gmail. You know what? I have it on my phone here. Hang on. I'll show it to you if I can find it. Here we go, right here. The Gmail logo is essentially the same design. Okay? Now, here is what Fat Albert Pike said that was a representation of, or a symbol of. He says 7 is the sacred number in all theogonies and all symbols because it is composed of 3 and 4. Now stop right here. It is composed of 3, the triangle, and 4, the square. Now, here's what I want you to do. Remember, from our video on the number 7, the King James Code, and its occult significance, all these occult things, the New Age, everything, talking about the 7 chakras, 7 colors of the rainbow, they all connect here. And Albert says that 7 is a sacred number because it's a combination of 3 and 4. And if you understand anything about numbers, if you all you do is understand them in the Bible, then you can get the opposite of that in the occult realm. You don't have to read all the books and stuff like that. But it's a combination of 3 and 4. 3, 4, 3 is the magic number. You remember that from your childhood? I do. The Schoolhouse Rock. 3 represents the all-seeing eye pyramid. You have the 2 points on the bottom. You have the third on the top, which is the all-seeing eye. It's a representation of the triple helix, the augmentation of mankind, and so on. It represents the man of sin. 3, lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, pride of life. The number 4 represents the earth or earthly things and so on, the 4 corners of the earth and so on. Here's what Albert Pike goes on to say. He says it's a combination of 3 and 4. It represents the magical power in its full force. It is the spirit assisted by all the elementary powers. You know what that is? Earth, air, fire, and water. The elements. It is the spirit, think of spirit, and assisted by the elementary powers, the earth. The soul served by nature. Again, the soul being of a spiritual substance, nature being of like the earth. The holy empire spoken of in the clavicles of Solomon, symbolized by a warrior, crowned, bearing a triangle, and standing on a cube, to which are harnessed 2 sphinxes. This is what shows up on the St. Louis Civil Courts building. One white and the other black, pulling contrary ways and turning the head to look backward. Now, let me go back to this here. This is the Mother Lodge of Freemasonry. It bears a resemblance to the Civil Courts building in St. Louis, the War Memorial in Indianapolis. And I forgot to put this graphic in here, but it also is a representation of the City Hall in Los Angeles. City Hall has this exact thing, and probably in the city that you live close by, if you have skyscrapers, the city that you live near, if you'll go to town during the day, look at all the tops of the buildings, and almost, I think, in just about every city, you're going to find at the top of some of these buildings like a square or a rectangle shape with a triangle or pyramid sitting on top of it. And what this represents is, and here's what Pike is saying, the bottom part represents the earth, the woman, the female. The top part, the triangle, represents the God forces. And they are joined together, and they're like fused together. This is 4 and 3 added together, and the equality of that is your number 7. Now, I've made this analogy here before. The Mother Lodge of Freemasonry in Washington, D.C. has 33 columns on the bottom. You can go there and count them if you want to. 33 on the bottom. And then the step pyramid has 13 steps going up to the top. If you do the math, that's 46. That is a sort of a mirror or a type of both parts of Freemasonry, the Scottish Rite and the York Rite. If you know anything about Masonry, you know the Scottish Rite has 33 levels. The York Rite has 13 levels. 33 and 13 together is 46. You're dealing literally with the temple of the human being. So when I saw the rainbow lights illuminating the symbol of Masonry in St. Louis, the temple, the square temple, and the step pyramid, I knew immediately the symbolism of it, the significance of it. They didn't just light any building in St. Louis. They lit this building right here. And somebody had to, they had to have had some kind of special permission to do this. And because this is a federal building, protected by federal laws. You can't put chewing gum on the floor without someone coming after you and saying, we're going to write you a ticket. Somebody uppity up here gave special permission to display the symbolism here. So hence, I believe that there is a connection between the gay pride movement and what Freemasonry represents and where it's all headed. It's headed to the deification or the apotheosis of mankind. Freemasonry says we're making good men better. How do you do that? You turn them into gods. Freemasonry has a slogan that they're all proud of, whether it's Scottish Rite, York Rite, French Freemasonry, British Freemasonry, or whatever. It is the 3 tenets. Now, notice the number 3 here. The 3 tenets of Masonry: liberty, equality, and fraternity. You see that on many of their logos. Notice up on the upper left, you have what's called the the fasces. It is a bundle of sticks that encompasses an axe. That is a Freemasonic symbol, but it is a secret symbol for the destruction power or the destroying power of the Antichrist. Can you think of a story in the Bible where an axe rose up out of the water? And what was that axe head made out of? Iron. Think of the Iron Kingdom. So that's what the bundle of sticks, let me pull that graphic back up here for you. The bundle of sticks represents all of humanity bound together to give this beast his power and his seat and his great authority. And you notice again the words liberty, fraternity, equality. There on the bottom right, liberty, equality, fraternity. You see the handshake, you see the scales, equality, balance. You see the all-seeing eye coming out of the triangle and so on and so. You see the Ouroboros, the snake, swallowing his own tail. What is that? Pike said it's basically a symbol of this. Sons of God, daughters of men. They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. That's what that represents. Then I want you to look at this idea of equality, liberty, and fraternity, which is the sort of the magic potion of secret societies in general, but Freemasonry. Those of you who've studied a little bit of recent, well, I won't say recent, I'd say last 200-300 years, you understand that the French Revolution was basically designed by Freemasons to give liberty, equality, and fraternity to all Frenchies. And the French Revolution basically said, we don't need no stinking king, or however they say it in French. Parlez-vous, whatever. Anyway, so it overthrew the king and set up basically a socialist government inside France that doesn't work. Socialism never works, but we're going to keep trying it and force it down everybody's throat. And basically, the reason why socialism doesn't work is that these people have to do all the work and these people don't have to do anything and they still get to eat everybody's stuff. And it just doesn't work. But anyway, the core tenets of the French Revolution was these Masonic ideas of fraternity, liberty, and equality, giving everybody equality. So it was a Masonic idea is what it was. Now, this same idea is being brought to America. Some would say that's what America was built on. I say that you have 150 years from the time the Pilgrims landed somewhere around 1620 to the signing of the Declaration of Independence. You had like 150 years of Bible preaching that I believe formed the basis of this nation. But we know what the Scripture says. Certain men crept in unawares. And that's what I see going on. But let me show you now what the Bible says about all this stuff about liberty, fraternity, and equality. Let me show you what the Bible reveals behind this. Number one, liberty. Peter said, he's talking about the false prophets and the religious principles behind the false prophet mentioned in Revelation 13. He said these are wells without water, clouds that are carried with a tempest, to whom the mist of darkness is reserved forever. For when they speak great swelling words of vanity, they allure through the lusts of the flesh. Stop right here. The false prophets and the spirits behind the false prophets know that in order to bring about the agenda of the beast is that you must allure through the lusts of the flesh. So this is why Ed Young puts a bed up on the stage and he talks dirty to everybody for a month's worth of sermons. This is why him and his wife are laying up in a bed on top of the roof of their church. They're using these sleazy sermon series to allure through the lust of the flesh. Oh, we're gonna have a Bible study at Hooters. Yeah, right. I know what my mind would be on if I was there. I mean, I'd have to fight it off. Crazy bunch. They are alluring through the lust of the flesh. And it doesn't matter what kind of flesh. Whether you're a guy and you like girls, or you're a girl and like guys, or you're a guy and you like other guys, these people are going to allure through the lust of the flesh. And then here's what he goes on to say. He says, they allure through the lust of the flesh, through much wantonness. That's your gay pride festivals. Those that were clean escaped from them who live in error. While they promise them what? Liberty. They promised them liberty. God saw this coming, people. They themselves are the servants of corruption. For of whom a man is overcome, of the same he is brought in bondage. So here's what they're promising to everybody. Liberty. They're telling the Sodomites, we're going to give you liberty. We're going to make you free, so that you can sodomize whoever you want to, and nobody. Can I tell you what I think is going to happen? And I'm just awaiting for the first court case to show up. Some guy, some sodomite's going to rape some other guy or a kid. And a court, there's going to be slicked up lawyers, and a court is going to find him not guilty because that's just the way he is. He was expressing his love. You watch and see if it doesn't happen, or something similar to that. This is where we're headed in this nation. You don't believe that? Go read Genesis 18 and 19 again. Tell me what you see. Go read Genesis 19 and tell me what you see. The men of Sodom demanding from Lot, demanding from him, send those 2 men out so we may know them. Coming to America very soon. So that's liberty. They're promising them liberty. They themselves are the servants of corruption. Now we deal with fraternity. You know what fraternity is? Brotherhood. And I want you to think about this. Okay, I want you to think about it. Brothers are people who have the same father. So this is why, as Christians, we call one another, hello, Brother Stan, hello, Brother John, hello, Brother Jim, and we never say, hello, Brother Susie. We don't do that. We are brethren. Why? Because we are sons of God. That's why. In order to have fraternity, you have to have the same father. My grandfather grew up on a sharecropper's farm in central Arkansas, around Mayflower, Enola, in that area. And he had, I think he had 11 brothers. Okay, the youngest one, the surviving one, just died not too long ago, a few months ago. E. Palm Hoggard. I knew him. He was my grandpa's brother. But they could call each other brothers because that's who they were. They had the same father. What did Jesus say to the Pharisees? I think it was Matthew 23. Yeah, or maybe it wasn't there, but he said, "You're of your father, the devil." Meaning they were all brothers. Look at what it says here. Judges 19:22. Now, as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial, guess who their father was, beset the house round about, beat at the door, and spake to the master of the house, the old man, saying, Bring forth the man that came unto thine house, that we may know him. The fraternity of Freemasonry says it doesn't matter who you are, what religion you have, where you came from, what your background was. You join us and you're going to be born again. You're going to have a new daddy. They are of their father, the devil. They are sons of Belial. That's what it's all about. That's what their fraternity is. A brotherhood of people who have the same father. And it's not God. in heaven. It's not Jehovah. It's not the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's not the God whose son is Jesus Christ. It is not the God that you and I pray to through the mediator, Jesus Christ. Because the God they pray to in the lodge doesn't need no stinking mediator. So it's not the same God that you and I pray to. That's who their father is, the worshipful master. You're of your father, the devil. That's what the fraternity part is all about. Now I want you to think of equality. Equality. I was looking at this phrase through the scriptures, and it dawned on me. I know what this is. Now, let me show you. Let's go back to this graphic here. I want you to look at the scales on here, and they're balanced. And these in Masonry, in the symbolism of Masonry, the scales always use 3 chains to hold the little bowls. There's 3 chains on one side, 3 chains on the other. Do you see that? So that it has a dual meaning. It's 33, or it is 6. 3 here, 3 here, like the 2 triangles, the seal of Solomon, the Jewish flag. It is the 3 triangles fusing together. It's the number 6. Take a look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors in this thing. And, of course, you all know what the number 6 represents. Sons of God, daughters of men, Genesis 6. The number 666 being the number of the beast, et al. Now, so that's part of the equality. Whenever you see Masonic scales, it basically says the sons of God, the daughters of men, and they're joined together, because that's what a balance does. It makes them equal. It joins them together. But I want you to think of something else. Remember what the serpent promised Eve in the Garden of Eden. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then ye shall be as gods. You will be equal to gods. That's what the equality part is all about. Humans being equal to gods. Now, can you think of a verse? And this just jumped out and I went, that's it right there. Philippians 2:6. Who, being in the form of God, thought it not robbery to be equal with God. Who's that talking about? Jesus Christ, who is God. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Jesus Christ thought it not robbery to be equal with God, because he was God. Manifested in the flesh. God manifested in the flesh. Justified. All that stuff in the mystery of godliness. That's what Paul was dealing with. The opposite of that is now humans. Corrupt, vile, disgusting, sinful, even sodomites being equal with God. That's what's coming. That's the spirit that's driving all of this. Freemasonry boasts and brags and says, we accept everybody. We accept everybody. You just come as you are. We'll turn you into a better human being. We'll turn you into a god. But in order for a Mason to achieve that symbolic godhood, something has to happen to the Mason. The Mason has to, in a symbolic fashion, he has to die. Now, there's a Freemasonic initiation in the first 3 degrees. There's that number 3 again. Lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, pride of life, and so on. Man of sin, sons of God, daughters of men. I mean, you get it, all right? In the first 3 degrees, they go through this thing called the death of Hiram Abiff. And they act this thing out. You, as the initiate, are Hiram Abiff. And you get slain in the spirit. Oh, wait a minute. No, you get hit in the head. Well, that's the same thing. Anyway, you receive a deadly wound to your head, and then you rise again with the help now of a lion. who helps you come back to life again. You kind of get this. You understand the lingo that they're saying. If you know the Bible, you just go, you know what, I get that. That's so simple. Why doesn't anybody see this? Manly Hall said that the derivation of the Masonic initiation of Hiram Abiff actually started in what was called the Bacchic Mysteries. Let me show you this quotation from Manly Hall's Secret Teachings of All Ages. He said, in the initiation of the Bacchic Mysteries, the role of Bacchus is played by the candidate who, set upon by priests in the guise of the Titans. You know, the Titans were the giants. Think about it. The giants were the sons of God, the daughters of men. They were the fusion hybrid species. The initiator, or the one who is being initiated into, is Bacchus, who is a hybrid. So he's set upon by priests in the guise of the Titans, is slain, and finally restored to life amidst great rejoicing. The Bacchic Mysteries were given every 3 years, and like the Eleusinian Mysteries, there's a new movie coming out called Elysius, and I am very, very interested in seeing it. And the Eleusinian Mysteries were divided into 2 degrees. The initiates were crowned with myrtle and ivy, plants which were sacred to Bacchus. Now, so here's what I'm saying. The idea of Hiram Abiff came about. By the way, there is a Hiram Abiff in the scriptures, and you never see where he is slain by being hit in the head and raised back from the dead with the help of a lion. You don't see that there. So the whole idea behind this, I figured out years ago, Hiram is not Hiram. Hiram is somebody else who receives a wound in his head, and that deadly wound is healed. That was given through the initiation into worshiping the god Bacchus. Now, Bacchus is Dionysus. You remember that little thing we showed about abortion and the abortion clinics and Dionysus and all this stuff. Here's Bacchus. He's the god of wine. Here's what he looks like. He is deliberately featured as a sodomite, a sissy boy, the girl boy, the woman man, ergo Baphomet, the androgynous god who has a rainbow coming out of his pants, the androgynous god who is the fusion, the sons of God, daughters of men, into one. And in the occult mysteries, the sodomite holds a high position, even though it's not talked about. They hold a high position because in a sodomite dwells the spirit of the fusion of the sexes. Here you have someone who, plumbing-wise, is a man, but he has the actions, the voice, in some cases the dress, the gestures. I'm not done. Not done yet. Music, go away. Go away, music, go away. The sodomite has the perfect melding together of what all these mystery religions has held as their sacred god, the androgynous god, Baphomet. Part man, part woman. I mentioned this. It just fits in so well. Leonardo da Vinci, sodomite. Big one, big time. So he draws this sketch called Flesh Angel, or Angel in the Flesh. I'm not going to show it to you. If you want to look it up, do it at your own risk. But it's the fusion of a man and a woman together in the same body. He drew Baphomet. That was the basis for John the Baptist, his drawing of John the Baptist. And somebody's going to say, look at Hoggart, he's flashing a Masonic sign, he's in Illuminati, we knew, we caught him. I'm just showing you what Da Vinci did with John the Baptist. That was the basis for his picture. There was a secret teaching here from a sodomite who held the mysteries And there is a substantial and solid connection between the workings of Satan through secret societies, through the global elite, through principalities who are in realms of government in every nation of the world. I didn't read this story. Let's see, where I got to find it again. Michael, my son-in-law, told me this. When Barack Obama was first running for president, my son-in-law, who was from Kenya, was all excited. Oh, Kenya's going to run for president. He went to see him, when he came to St. Louis and so on, got all excited. And I said, Michael, let me just fill you in on American politics. He's not good. Trust me. And over time, he's going, no way. So he sent me this article from Nairobi, Kenya. Majority Leader Adan Duale has disagreed with U.S. President Barack Obama's support for same-sex marriages. Speaking in Western Kenya on Saturday, Duale said Kenyans were religious people who believed in family values, and Obama's endorsement to same-sex orientation was likely to rub the society the wrong way. He said neither the Bible nor the Quran advocated for gays and lesbianism. He said if the U.S. agenda to Africa is to sell same-sex marriages, then Kenyans are better off with the consequences of electing the Jubilee government. I don't know what all that means. But basically, he was telling Obama, keep it over there. We don't want to burn. Good for the Kenyans. Good. And I've been over there. And it is still against the law to be a sodomite in Kenya. It's against the law. It used to be against the law here. It's still against the law over there. There are guys in prison in Kenya just for practicing sodomy. Good for them. You pray for the people of Africa. I love those people. I do. And we're operating a FM radio station over there just to give those people the truth. And I'll tell you what, I'm not saying flee the country. But you know what? May not be a bad idea for somebody. You just want to get out of America, go to Kenya. Of course, that's not your salvation. I know where my salvation is. It's in the Lord Jesus Christ. But that's the connection. That's where it's all going. And you understand now the spirit that is leading the charge here. This is not just a bunch of really, really bad, nasty guys that are throwing their fits and pouting when they don't get their way and they want this and that and the other. There is a spiritual conspiracy and an agenda behind this. And I'm not suggesting that you have to go study all this to find out. What I'm telling you is that the Bible lays out this groundwork and it tells you plainly this is what's going on. And when you read the scriptures, you get it in your mind, you see what's going on, and you go, this is that which was spoken. But now you understand the real agenda. Got some emails in here. I appreciate you writing all of those. I tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to spend some time answering emails tomorrow online. So remember, we will be online tomorrow, 1 p.m. Central, for the regularly scheduled Pastor Mike Online today. I appreciate you tuning in today. I know it was a little bit, it's a different day. Not too many people are used to that, and so we have about half the audience that we normally do. But we will post this online, and we will have it available within the next few hours or so, so be watching for it. And tomorrow I will see you. Let's see if I can get the blob to come back on again. No, it's gone. It's gone. Anyway, this is Pastor Mike, and we will see you tomorrow, 1 p.m. Central Time, Pastor Mike Online. I've started the script, started putting the PowerPoints together for the next Watchman video broadcast, the Comic Con. It's kind of catchy, isn't it? The Comic Con. You'll be amazed at what you see. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon. God bless you. Bye.